taking out the specs. All right, listen. First of all, I wanted to thank everybody for coming. And so on behalf of Jane, Paul, Tracy, and myself, we wanted to thank you for joining us on this wonderful day. It's been year-long planning. Madison and Garrett pretty much drove the whole party. Was that a good service today? So we wanted to thank you for taking multiple days out of your lives to come to Michigan for this wonderful celebration. I'd also like to especially thank those who came from out of country, including my nephews Giga, Greggy, Anna, Nana, and those that came from Slovenia, and those that came from Canada, Sistina, Teta Sylvia, Martine, Andrea, Adrian, Peter, Anita, who all joined us from Canada for the celebration. And holy crap, Nader, one of Garrett and Maddie's best friends, came all the way from Australia. I mean, how cool is that? Thank you all for coming to celebrate with us. All right, I'm going to take, this is going to be like the Tony Booth section of the program. So I'm going to take a couple minutes and talk about my daughter and also talk about Garrett as well. And I was thinking this speech may be a little bit long, but after Manny's vows today, no problem. All right, so I'm going to read this, but otherwise I'll screw up. So it's not every day that a father gets to stand up and try to put words into the immense pride and love he has for his daughter. And today, it's my honor and privilege. Huh? Is that good? So, here's a quick story on becoming a father. So, I still remember one of the days, it was like right after Maddie was born, we brought her home. And I was a new dad, and I'm kind of an analytical guy. I like to check things out and learn for myself. And I wanted to understand everything about having a baby. Because it's all new. I was the baby, so everything was new for me. So, I wanted to learn about her smiles. I wanted to learn about her coos. I even wanted to learn about her cries, right? Because I was the guy that when I would get on an airplane and there was a baby crying on an airplane, I'm thinking in my head, somebody stick a bottle in that baby's mouth. Because that was me, right? And so we're at home, and Madison starts crying, and she's probably a week old. And so I took her, and I laid her down on the bed, and I laid on the bed, and I was looking at her, and she's screaming, and I'm looking at her. I probably shouldn't admit this, because there's probably a DCFS agent somewhere out there. So I'm looking at her, and you can see she's crying, but she's not. I'm trying to figure out, is she crying because she's in pain, or she just wants to be held, or what? And I'm watching her, and then, so during that process, it was good because I actually got familiar with baby crying. And then, after about 10 minutes of that, I'm like, all right, I can't take it anymore, right? So I ended up picking her up. It was her cry that she wanted to be held, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I picked her up, found out that was her cry, and that was my first lesson in fatherhood. Sometimes you just need to be there and hold your kids, not figure everything out. And Maddie taught me that. As a side note, whenever I am on a flight now and I hear a baby crying, I just laugh. Because I know like there's somebody on that flight going, somebody stick a bottle in that baby's mouth. Okay, so here's another story of Maddie growing up, and what was nice about it is Maddie was a performer, and she used to do church types of performances, and then she was in like kids cabaret, and I really liked going to these events because she was really good at it. I didn't have to really worry about whether she would remember her lines or forget her lines, and So she was in a play, it was The Sound of Music. And she was about 12 years old at this time. And I'm sitting in the, sitting in the audience, and, like in the second row or something, and she's playing Liesl. So Liesl is the 16-year-old, right? And there's a song it's 16 going on 17, right? Yeah, and it's like, I am 16 going on 17, right? And she's coming on stage and she's holding the hand of this boy, and he's playing like the little Nazi guy. And they're walking on stage and they're singing, I am 16, and I'm sitting in my chair, I can feel my blood rushing. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, you may be 16, but you may never see 17 if you go anywhere. So that was like a lesson for me that, my daughter's growing up. And she's now going to be, going into her age. And so it was fantastic. I'll never forget it. And then the last quick story I'll tell you, we talk about your pride and your kids. And I can't tell you how much pride I have in Maddie. When she was in high school, she was very active in her junior high and high school, she was very active in her Christian youth group. She had the bravery to invite folks to go to those events. And there's a number of you in here that were part of those groups, and this was fantastic. And one thing I noticed is not everybody who she invited would return, right? And maybe it wasn't their time to come to their faith. But I always knew that God put Maddie on this earth to plant that seed for so many of these kids. And it was just awesome. And I have a confidence in Christ, and you are a part of it. Thank you. All right. Let me talk a little bit about Garrett. And you know what? The Mass today was really enlightening to me because I didn't realize how head over heels Garrett was. And I kind of explained a little bit, and as I was writing this, I'm like, gosh, should I revise it? And I said, no. Yeah, I got to get to that section. Okay. So one of my first encounters with meeting Garrett was at the end of Madison's freshman year. And it's like, crazy. So, at the end of the year, I was moving Maddie out. And I'll never forget this. It was pouring. It was like cats and dog pouring. And we had to go from the building to the street. And I just remember we had to do that probably 15 times, and we were just getting trashed. We were getting, totally drenched and everything. And I remember just Garrett. It was like the happiest guy helping move Maddie out. And I was like looking at him, I'm like, either this guy is head over heels for my daughter, or she found the biggest sap at Indiana. And to some extent, it was kind of true because you got sapped and I got sapped by that whole exercise. It's crazy. So I knew right from the beginning this kid's a good kid. All right, I'm going to tell this story because I was bordering on this story. Okay, so when was the bachelor party? Was that in July? Yeah. Was it July? May? Okay, in May we had this bachelor party. And so I went out for the day with the guys, and what a great set of guys. And we're doing paintball on this day. And Garrett, if you know anything about Garrett, he's got the video, he's got the equipment, he's got the, on the gun, everything. Got the camera. And I'm there, and, I'm kind of there just to have a good time with the guys. But I'm not a big paintball guy. Like, I'll find a spot, sit in that spot, and just kind of shoot. And so one of the first games we played, I did my thing. I found a spot, I was looking at my angle. Well, little did I know, there was a cross angle that came from this angle here. And within the first 20 seconds of the game, I get there, I go down, boom, right in the grill. I get this big ball. And I'm like, where did that, A, I didn't know where it came from, B, I was fine because I was out. But man, so after the game, each game, you kind of have this little time to review. And I see Garrett, and Garrett's like, hey, Mr. Booth, I think I got you with that people. And I'm like, oh, really? He goes, yeah, I got a video. So he's playing the video and replaying the video. And I'm thinking in my head, I was just there, you know? I'm like, yeah, I was with my father-in-law, I think I would be playing that card, right? Probably not a card I'd be playing. So he's playing it, they're having a good time, like, I'm like, okay, you know, it's a new generation, I get it, you know, yeah. So, like 2 games later, to Garrett's credit, so 2 games later, there was a game where it was, I think there was like 16 of us. How many guys? 14 guys. It was 14 on 1. So Garrett took on all 14 guys, and the way the game worked is, if he got hit, he could stay in the game until he said quit, okay? And so, there's 14 guys of us, we're all on the ground, and he's perched up in this little, like, treehouse thing. And to his credit, like, so we're getting ready. I'm looking around, I see this tree around it. So the event starts. And it was like, I think I put it was like dropping raw meat into like a bunch of wild dogs. All these guys running around. Garrett's, perched up there. And oh, by the way, I didn't tell you. Garrett took on all these 14 guys and took his shirt off. And I don't know if you know anything about paintball, but that thing comes out about, I don't know, 30 miles an hour. It's like a little thing.
Oh, fast on that.
How much?
Fast.
So Garrett, then when Garrett did that, I'm like, another questionable call by Garrett. Taking his shirt off, I go, you know what? That one, I can respect. Taking a little risk, taking it on, taking on his boys, right? So I'm sitting behind a tree. Garrett's up on this perch. There's one little point that he's not in yet, but it's, I got a clean legislator. And then it was Brendan, right? Brendan, who, if you ever get into a paintball game, Brendan, you want him on your team. Brendan storms this thing, makes his way up there. There's this fight, back and forth, and then Garrett moved into my line of sight. And I was thinking, Garrett, a couple of games ago, you just hit me right in my grill, and I just woke him up. So I don't know how many he got hit from me personally. I know in that game he got about 10 at least. And but I had a huge amount of respect for Garrett, and it really showed me, listen, you got to take some risks, and you got to be with your guys, and it was awesome. So with all that being said, I'm going to go to my closing. Here we go. So, Nancy and Garrett, I'm so incredibly proud of you both. We're so happy to have Garrett in the family, and we all love you. And I'm thrilled to see what the future holds for both of you. Let's raise a toast in our glasses to Madison and Garrett. Here's to a lifetime of love, laughter, and many more adventures together. Cheers. Prayer before we eat. With your grace forever. We give you praise and thanks for all your goodness, for the abundance of food this evening, the abundance of family and friends, the abundance of laughter and love. We pray that Garrett and Madison, that the love they share today would flourish and grow. May they continue in your joy and strength. May they bless their families as they have been blessed by them. And may all of us who participate in this celebration carry your joy and love as we move forward to support what God has joined together. For out of Christ's pure love and sacrifice, all good things flow. And all the people said? Amen. Thank you. Enjoy, guys.